Welcome to Steve's Place. It's Sunday, June 2nd, and it's been a long month. Anyway, I'd like to remind everyone if you want to see what get to our website, just click on that QR code there on our page and everything. And if you like our show, uh, please help us get support by giving us a thumbs up, in the YouTube thing. Uh, Tonight, I'm going to talk a little bit about AI and uh, and what it means to everyone, or will mean in the future. But before we get there, I'd like to announce I finally got the conference program. Expect to get this in the mail here in a couple of weeks. It's at the printer now, and once you get picked up, it'll probably take another week after that for the printer to get all the labels done and it in the mail. Uh, it's a simplified version of what's online. We just have the program. We have a brief synopsis of each and every speaker, and just go to our website and you can pull up a copy there if you'd like to see it in a more readable fashion. This year will be like a Thursday, and then Thursday afternoon we'll be covering electromagnetics. On Friday morning, we're going to start off with water technology and that. And we'll be covering zero point energy in the afternoon, and we'll also have the vendor descriptions there as well. And then Saturday is going to be pretty futuristic. We cover everything from a mathematical proof that provides for quantum computing. And then on Saturday afternoon, we get more into energy topics and that, including microscopic thermonuclear reactions, where you're using bubbles to contain the nuclear reactions as opposed to all these magnetics and that, the high temperature. That's one of our sponsors, Phil Wilson with Relax Honest. Then Sunday, will be totally futuristic and covering even some time travel. That's so anyway, that's what we have coming in the mail for you, and I hope everyone enjoys it. In the meantime, I need to encourage everyone to sign up for our TeslaTech channel, YouTube channel. Your support on that, if you become a member, it's like $9.99 a month. It's what helps us really survive. To get up there, just go up to our website, TeslaTech.info. You'll see this big yellow box, and you click on the YouTube channel, it takes you to our channel overall. Or you can use the conference directory, which I recommend, to find out which conference you're interested. And then also we have speakers. If you know what speaker you're interested, click on that. It can bring up all that speakers' presentations over the years. That's still a work in progress, and we'll be adding to it. And of course, we've got this year's conference, August 7th to 11th. If you sign up, I'm still honoring the 25%. I want to get as many people in there as possible. I want to get your reservations in to the hotel. They start at $84 a night. That's a bargain. First of all, this hotel standard room rates are $180. If you come in during the conference and you haven't got pre-registration, that's what you'll be paying, $180. And that doesn't include breakfast. Our special price includes breakfast. So you this is the most affordable conference you're going to be going to. I can't emphasize enough the importance of coming to a conference. Our conference is about people meeting people, interaction with people. This whole COVID thing has kind of like isolated people, put you in your corners and everything, and they're making you right for the upcoming takeover by AI, artificial intelligence, which is tonight's topic. AI is a very serious problem. You see it like every time you get your phone out. That's how they're starting to get you. Every time you use that phone and you use the the push button, okay, then what happens is um, you lose a bit of your memory. There was a time when I could remember all the phone numbers I need to remember, but nowadays I can't remember phone numbers at all. And if I lose my phone, I lose my memory. You know, that's what AI does to you. By not making you exercise your mind and keeping your pathways, your thinking pathways, it does the thinking for you. When it does the thinking for you, then you become a little bit less human, I believe. You know, they're found in every instance, like when AI is used for like war games and that, it always tends to escalate into uh, a nuclear war. Why? Because uh, it does total logic, has nothing to do with humanity. You know, when our generals sit there and they're just deciding the war strategy and everything, they're looking at the human side as well as just the most efficient way of killing people. You know, because that's not what it's supposed to be all about. Um, War is an extension of diplomacy, and diplomacy is what the real objective here is. But it's just not that. It's in businesses, you know. We've converted our businesses. Well, there used to be a time when the business of business was business. Business existed to provide goods and services for people. Now, they're the CPAs, okay, have turned them into mechanisms for creating the most profit and money, and they're no longer really focused on uh, what the business itself is. Case in point, you know, I'm sure you've heard that since the $20 an hour wages for uh, fast food workers come in place. Now companies like McDonald's are claiming, well, we're going to leave, you know, California. Well, that's a bunch of nonsense because first of all, fast food is produced on site. It's not something you can produce remotely and then turn around and sell it elsewhere like you can cars or widgets and such. But the real business of McDonald's is not hamburger; it's rent. McDonald's owns very few of the restaurants, you know, relatively in California, for example, and most of their income actually comes from the rent of the facilities because they own the property. Okay, and so that is where McDonald's Corporation makes most of the money is on rent. So here you go from a company that originally was providing a service or focused on a service, hamburgers. All of a sudden, that's not the real purpose. The real purpose is to maximize their rental income. Uh, and so it is. AI is similar. You know, it takes an original idea, which may have been, well, like conferences. Okay, my conference was started to provide a bridge between the more esoteric topics and academia. Okay, in order to do this, you had to have people come in and show their ideas because there's so much fraud and BS in alternatives. You know, it's you know, it's almost like gold mines. You know, everyone has a good story about one, but the problem is there's so much he said, she said in it. The only way that you can kind of sort through this is you have people bring their inventions in and demonstrate them, you know, and then you have a live audience. Well, now everybody wants to do video, especially since COVID. And the problem with that is, well, Hollywood has taken us to the far reaches of the universe and back again, you know, through videos, film, you know. You can't trust it. It can be easily, well, especially these days. I mean, we're so worried about fakes all the time now on the internet. The only practical counter to that is conference, okay? And so I encourage everyone to come to our conference and see for yourself, you know. But in the meantime, we have this whole epidemic of artificial intelligence easing its way into our lives, you know. How many times have you picked up the phone and no one's answered? You hear like a click, 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 and then eventually it may even start sounding like a real person and ask, well, how are you doing? But in reality, it's not a person. It's AI at work. Legal systems, these lawyers go in there and they're starting to have uh, artificial intelligence writing their uh, briefs for them and everything. Well, the problem with that is AI lies. You know, AI has been found to be actually creating fake cases that go in these briefs, and so now you have the judge basing his judgment based on a fake brief, cases that have never existed and probably never will. You know, it's a thing that we got going on and on and on. And so I'd like to encourage any of you, if you have a comment on artificial intelligence, maybe a way that you have encountered, be it positive or negative, to come forward, and tell us what your experience was. Now, this is not to say that all AI is bad. It's to say you gotta be watching for it. The movies like Battlestar Galactica, where they're fighting the Cylons, which are AI and everything, um, that could be our future. Or we've all seen probably the Terminator with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and then mixed in with time travel, and how we're trying to fight the corporate structure, that created in the first place. Um, Sometimes I feel we live in that world. You know, um, AI can be very positive. Recently, I have had some heart surgery where they actually uh, put a wire up my arm and over my shoulders and into my heart to literally drill out an artery. Now, I'm sure that they could not do that without some form of AI helping to guide the doctor when he's putting that wire through the body, and then when he's drilling it, and you think of the technology that it took to make that happen, so that's a good case of AI. But then if you ever watch Chicago Med, in that case their AI in their surgical thing actually faked a diagnosis, and caused uh, an unnecessary surgery and actually end up killing somebody. you know. So we have to be careful of AI in all of its forms in that. And I encourage everyone, to maybe come up, and into our show and everything. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm posting the number. Okay, if you'd like to come on our show tonight, there's the code. Just kind of take in and key that in, and come on the show. And I'd like to, one of our guests, here's Shri. Shri has been with us before. And
Yes, yeah. And I'm coming to the conference the first time. I'm looking forward to it. And as you said earlier, Steve, there is so much contradictory information in alternative techniques, and it becomes sometimes very difficult to believe what is right and what is fake. So I'm hoping that I'll get more clarity at the conference. I've heard several videos from the past conferences, and this all sound amazing. This sound very amazing. But coming to the AI, I think you're right. AI is a double-edged sword. You can, as any tool, you can use it for good purpose, or you can use it for bad purpose. My understanding, AI fundamentally is data based. So they gather a huge amount of data and extract information out of it. So, for example, I go for a walk every morning, and sometimes I don't, but most of the time I go for a walk. And I go to the beach near my home. So that is the data. So the data over several years shows there's a 90%, 95% chance that 7 o'clock in the morning, I'll be walking at the beach. So that is the information now. So from the data they've gathered and they extract information. So really, all the data, you carry a cell phone with you, your data is going in somewhere. So your whole life becomes an open book and they can use it the way they want it. Right? People who are gathering the data. So I think that is the biggest danger if it is used wrongly, and people do use it wrongly.
Well, data is just one part of it, but the AI is what they do with the data. That there's a program that would take care of the data that's in the database, and and sometimes I write programs, that would take our database. We have people's address and everything, and like when they join us, or when we put them in our database and that, and I use that information to sort through and compile a list of people I mail to. And like this year, because of budget constraints, instead of mailing out to 10,000 people I have on my mailing list, I could take and screen out people that haven't I don't have an email address for, and I don't have a phone number for. And so what I've decided this year is I'm not going to mail it to people who don't have that. So that drops my mailing list down to about 6,000. You know, um, and so the program I wrote to do that would be considered AI. When I used to work for Unisys, we have all these chips, that we have to test, you know, and we put them on a tester, and we had to write programs for the tester to go in, and it goes in and it measures like the different voltages of different parts of that. Well, I wrote a program, okay, that would take, and using that basic format, I could write 10 programs, maybe 20, to cover that part. And all we had to do is just put in the voltages or current. We didn't have to write all the other steps that takes to do that. And so that was back 20 years ago, and today you have programs writing more programs, and the robotics have gotten really good. And we see the stuff, uh, in China, the Chinese have this, like we must have had 100 dogs in a room doing the same thing, uh, the drones, that's AI. You know, AI is a very Tesla thing, because Tesla was the first one to do drones, and was able to communicate his thoughts and everything to a drone. But his vision was that eventually the drones would go out there, and basically drones would be attacking drones. Uh, Fortunately, uh, this has gotten into the war. Defense teams always picks up on the newest technology, and they've taken this and taken the drones to a new level that was unheard of or even thought of a year ago or 2 years ago, And they're also finding out, like with the drones, our one of our weapons we thought was undefeatable, the Abrams tank. Okay, the Abrams tank is turning out not to be a good fit for the Ukraine army, because AI, or the drones, are actually being able to attack an Abrams and take it out. So now we're having to redefine our ground war. You know, um, I just don't know where this is all going to end up at. AI is well, people want to have all these robotic probes and everything to go to the moon and beyond, and Mars and that. The question is, if AI is doing everything, what is the purpose of people? What do people do? You know, uh, at one point, people are saying, well, we could do our artistic pursuits and everything. The problem with
Well,
that is AI is starting to write and do art. You know, so then again, what are people going to do? You know,
yeah, yeah. I think the big difference AI is, for me, it is like a much higher level of automation based on data, repetitive data or massive amount of data. So you have robotics on one end, which is really not database, is a mechanical or electronic automation. And then you superimpose on it the summary or the information extracted out of data, which keeps changing all the time. So information keeps being added, and it goes to a higher level. But the human beings have something that I don't think anybody can duplicate or replicate, is the consciousness, the deep consciousness that human beings can get into, and the amount of information in the deepest level of consciousness that they can extract. Nobody can duplicate it. And I give an example, like the ancient Indian, I call them books of knowledge, like the Vedas and all that. If you look at the amount of knowledge that they have, it's not just the spiritual knowledge, it's about science as well. You'll find most of the theorems, like the earth is round. It was known thousands of years ago in India. It is all over the place. So all, and for India, in the ancient India, it was not a question whether Earth is round. It is round. That was it. Everybody knew it. And that was widely accepted. So, so I'm saying, so in Europe, they discovered it much later on when Copernicus and Galileo and all that. That's how this progressed. So how did they get this knowledge? They knew human. So they describe, for example, they describe the child from the day of conception. So as soon as the egg and the sperm meet and the conception happens, so they describe to you each day how it grows, where the life comes in. They knew all this, but they didn't have to cut and open mothers in order to figure that out. All that knowledge just flowed in when they went deep inside into the consciousness, because all the knowledge is available. So I don't think the AI can ever duplicate it, and that is the direction the human beings will have to get to. I think in future, go deeper and deeper into it, and
well,
everything else will remain a tool that will help us.
sometimes though, I mean, when you look at the AI, right, and AI now, it looks like some are developing consciousness. At which point are they independently consciousness? Are we creating a new form of a silicate-based life form that has its own consciousness? Are we working for the ends of or organics? Life forms, or carbon-based life forms. You know, um,
Well, we
and then
certainly, I mean, right, the science is certainly trying to mimic it, but can it ever get to the real piece, right? The life itself?
but see, I think that AI in the end, we doom the human race because logically, to save the planet, you get rid of the humans, because that would consider humans as contamination. You know, um, AI, we need to get a real handle on it and really start looking at ways to control it. I mean, even legally, ever since they came up with this conception of corporations being people, which I think is fallacious and should be, you know, reconsidered, as Justice Sotomayor says. Um, with that kind of concept, then that could be extended to computers. At what point is a computer considered a person and has free speech rights and everything? I mean, if a corporation can, why can't a computer? That's thinking on its own and making its own decisions and everything. You know, uh, we have a serious problem in the future. It's not enough that we have all the pollution problems and everything, like the microplastics in our water and everything that's actually filling up our bodies. Um, but we have uh, a competing silicon life form or silicon based, and it's not necessarily silicon because there's different types of crystals that can be used in lieu of it. And
Yeah.
it seems like the only thing that life it does is use up energy. And I believe last week they kind of hit upon it. He talks, like energy is not created or destroyed; it only changes. Okay, and here we have a comment from Mike. Those, yeah, we solve all of our problems before because the only problem at which point is AGI, not simple AI. Well, I guess I would say what is AGI?
Yeah, it seems like a variant of AI.
Yeah, but AI, will not just consider this the only problem. I think general intelligence. That's right. Okay. Here we go. Speaking of AI as a programmer would say garbage in, garbage out. The problem is most people are crazy. Much of what has been printed or skewed wrong. And the GI would be general intelligence. And AISI is singular intelligence. Okay.
What is singular intelligence?
It's a good question. But I agree with Abram, garbage in, garbage out. People are
Yeah.
crazy. And it's just not much where has been printed skewed or something wrong. Um, a lot has been spoken or thought. You know, thoughts are very powerful things. Tesla once said, "A thought is the most powerful thing in the universe." And hang on just a second. So
Well,
I,
that is, I tell you my experience, recent experience with AI tools. There are thousands of them, these AI tools. So I have to teach a class. I'm a statistician. It's called a Six Sigma Black Belt. So I was going to teach how to create good charts using statistics. So I wanted the AI, because I can do it, I can create my own slides. I wanted the AI tools to create my slides along with the graphics and visualization on it. So I searched, I found two or three different tools, and I subscribed to them. You can do the free trial for a few days. And each one is so complex. You need months of learning before I can use it. I mean, I can create my slides without those tools in a couple of hours. So I'm saying that's not real AI. They call them AI tools. It's not AI. They're just trying to. It's like a glorified Excel.
Well, the thing is that we add more and more um, capability to like our phones. To me, a phone should be a phone, and now
Yeah,
it's everything, it's TV, it's a computer, uh, it's
camera.
a digital assistant, So
Yeah,
there's more power in this little phone here than was in my first computer, a Trash 80, for those of you who remember those days, Trash 80 from Radio Shack.
oh
So,
yeah,
and then here's an opinion. I think the most superior form of AI is one that only does process of elimination for solving equations. Well, thing is, they're having AI out here trying to look at all the writing, uh, and then turn around and start writing stuff. Um, when I was a kid, I was like a sponge, I'd go to the library. I'd go home with a pile of about 5 or 6 books, to read every night, and I try to start reading on the bus, but you'd always have this kid, who would be trying to tap you on the head, because it seems like for some reason, uh, kids don't like other kids to learn, and
right.
have a fight, because you can't let people push you around, and
Yeah,
so I had at least one or more fights per week when I was all through grade school. In high school, it tapered off. Some of the big bullies had graduated and moved on, you know.
right.
But in the meantime, you learn how to fight for yourself and stick yourself up. But the reason the fact I read all those books and everything um, led me into writing, and that's how come I do things like I write the magazine, which I want to get back to soon, um, and it led me into the intellectual pursuits, for like science and technology, you know, just by reading a lot, and they're trying to teach computers the same way by feeding it all this information and seeing what comes out of the other end. Now, granted, they could feed these computers information a lot faster than I could read, which I was reading well over 500 words per minute when I was a kid, Um, but you know, um, they're hoping that the computers get all this knowledge, and then all of a sudden, this knowledge will transform itself into a form of thinking, and use it and study the style of writing. But the AI writings right now are kind of simple, and you can kind of tell, that uh, either a kid wrote it or um, AI wrote it, And so anyway, I got a comment here by Mike Groves, and that's 9 words a second. Well, the way they test that in school, when I went to school, is you have to read. They have like articles that you read and with so many words, and how fast you read that. Uh, that was your speed reading. How fast you can read it, and then they turn around and they test you to see your comprehension of what you just read. Okay, so it's just not reading it; it's also comprehending it. You know, um, I got in trouble at school because I read so much. Um, I didn't have time to do homework. I figured if I knew how to do it, homework, that was just a waste of time because that's just practice. And that's a comment. I tend to always go for the complicated stuff. Like when I went to school, I always get the uh, when I got to choose, I always picked the tougher subjects because it was a challenge. And the problem with AI is that it removes uh, the challenge from us, removes the challenge from the brain, you know, and we need. we need that resistance to grow. If we don't, if you're not in a method of resistance, then you're not growing. You just tend to turn to mush. It's kind of like uh, because I don't exercise so much, my body isn't as strong as it used to be. And I probably should get out there and start exercising to provide the resistance my body needs to grow and stay healthy. So,
Yeah. Well, with each, I mean, if you remember in the good old days when there were no computers, when I when I was doing my graduate work, we didn't have computers. We had these primitive computers where you had to stick in a huge deck of cards to run. I mean, that took hours and hours to run a program. Very simple program. And the biggest computers used to be 32 kilobytes, which is really peanuts now, what we have in gigabytes. So, but we did, right? I mean, we did. And when the computers were introduced, I remember when computers were introduced in the banks, they started pushing back. You need less tellers, you'll need less people. There was so much resistance to introduction of that technology. But then the kind of challenge that was introduced with the new technology was totally different at a higher level. How to maintain these computers, how to make them more powerful, how do you do more complex work? Just like now the cryptocurrency has come in, which has taken the financial transactions to a totally different level. So with each, the challenge will come, but I think we'll keep making progress. But you might be right. There might be less of us needed in future, and I think there's less and less people are getting married or producing children, and that seems to be a trend.
well, I can address that later. But here's Abraham. We each have a model of the known universe. The more it aligns with reality, the better can predict the future. The brain is a future prediction machine. And if AI can get information directly from physical reality instead of humans, it may have a chance to be useful. And,
I'm
and in some
trying to
ways,
understand what it means. What is he trying to say? I'm trying to understand, Abraham.
okay, well, when I make decisions, I need to make them based on reality. Okay, and
Right.
so our minds really predict futures. Okay, uh, and and that's because like we have a known universe. Like when I take a step, where I'm going to be stepping at. Okay, and if
Right.
it's based on reality, you're going to make a successful step. Our problem is, and this is why lies, the Bible, kind of points towards the most greatest sin of all is a lie, because it's um, a false information. Okay, you're 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 creating a new reality that doesn't exist. Okay, that's what lies do. Okay,
Right.
that's
Right.
become such a big sin, because you can't really make a good decision on the future if everything is being lied to, and that's become when people lie to me, I try to get them out of my life, because I it's ridiculous, I mean, because you can't make a realistic decision. Humans will give skewed information for many different reasons. You know, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. That reminds me of. I think one of the Hitler's field marshals. He said once, if you tell a lie once, it is a lie. But if you repeat it 1,000 times, it becomes a fact.
But
So
it's not a
that's what it
fact.
is. You keep repeating lies and lies and lies, and AI will pick it up as a fact, right? Is that what it means here?
Well, in the man who shot Liberty Vance, okay, Valence, okay, the reporter, the young reporter is told, when the legend is a lie, you print the legend. Okay, and so you know, humans will skew information. You know, uh, and the skewed information uh, skews your responses. Okay, um, and that's a common. You know, lies are the worst sin of all. And unfortunately, our AI are being taught to lie too. You know,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of data is lie that is fed into the AI tools, right? That's what it means.
yeah.
Because the data comes through a filter. All of us have a filter. When we absorb data coming to us, we filter it. I mean, a lot of time we just see it as we want to see it rather than what it actually is. Right? That's what it means here.
Well, that's to come. A good leader will provide himself with people who give him the truth instead of surround himself with yes men. You know, because yes men will tell you what you want to hear. Doesn't mean
Right.
that it's true or not. You know, and when I make a decision, you know, uh, I need to know the truth. You know, like if I'm going to write a check here for like a couple $1,000, I need to know that there really is a couple $1,000 in the bank, not that you know I'm being told that there's $1,000 in the bank. You know, because all that does is mess you up.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and here you
Yeah.
go. That's not AI lying. It's someone telling an algorithm to spread words like propaganda. Well, that
Yeah.
is AI lying because well, AI is parroting information, you know, and it's not checking its premises in that, you know, but it's being passed on as the intelligence, and that's the big lie. And Mark Twain once said, "It's easier to fool people than it is to convince them that they were fooled," and that's why people get away with fake news and fake stuff is because the people who are buying that refuse to listen to truth or contradictory information because they don't want to look like they were fooled.
Right.
You know, and we run into this in all fields. You know, political fields, but even scientific fields. You know, like why was Galileo burned on the stake? Because the leaders of his time didn't want to look like they were being played like fools. You know, so they made him the fool and burned him at the stake, or declared his teachings as fake, and then burned him at the stake. But
Yeah.
that we're allowing AI to do this to us is we're putting a filter, a layer between us and the source of the information. That's to come. It's important to come to the conference and have our conferences because at the conference, when you're sitting there uh, talking to someone face to face, you know everybody has a tell. You know, and you can usually pick up what a tell is. You know, and you can tell if they're lying or not easier. You know, on video you can't. You know, and that's a come. It's important for everyone to come to the conference and treat the DVDs and the videos as kind of like reminders, like little notebooks, you know, that we can watch and oh yeah, I remember that, you know, to jog our memories, as opposed to actually being the main source of the information. You know, by being there, you know what happened, you know what the guy said, you know
Yeah.
how he looked when he said it, you know, and you know if his nose was twitching or not, you know, or if he was rubbing his ear. That's a tell sometimes for some people, you know. But yeah, so
Yeah. So AI. So what we are saying is AI would be more effective if the data that goes into the AI tool is kosher, is right. But if the data is garbage, then it'll give you garbage, right? Garbage in, garbage out. And that's happening most of the time because you have all these fact checkers everywhere
Well, they claim to be fact
And they,
checkers.
yeah, they convert good data into garbage, right? The fact checkers. So then AI picks it up.
Okay, and then here's Abraham. That's why I like to understand technology based on first principles. I never could have figured out Tesla's magnifying transmitter without understanding the first principles of electricity. But even then, um, we're only observing certain things, on this technology, and that, like the Tesla's magnifying transmitter, they're trying to build one down in Texas, and that I don't know. I don't know if they ever got to really work, and it's impressive looking from the outside, anyway.
What's
But
the what's a magnifying transmitter? What does it do?
basically, it would be like a Tesla coil
Hmm.
hooked in sync with a third coil, okay,
Right.
and it would be able to draw. The third coil should be able to draw massive amounts of current and voltage, okay,
Hmm.
to be used, okay, and Tesla's magnifying transmitter is able to do this, um, but it has to be in sync, and according to Tesla's results, his magnifying transmitter was actually the most powerful machine, and then and in wattage wise, okay, it's even produced outputs greater than Livermore Laboratories accelerators in that. Uh,
So it will transmit power over the air. Is that what it means?
well, the Tesla coil will produce massive amounts of current, not current, but voltage. Okay,
Right.
but it with very little current. Okay, that's a come you could take and grab the top of a Tesla coil and basically have uh, the sparks come off your fingertips. For those at home, it's good to put uh, some tight
How
fitting
would you
metal
use
detectors
what
on.
would you
Huh?
what how would you use that? I mean, to transmit energy?
We use it for a lot of things. It's the whole basis of radio in the first place. And even your car, your car is an eight-headed Tesla coil. When you look at the configuration of it. But with the Tesla transmitter, with that extra coil, okay, it can it will pull the massive amounts of current from the ground. Okay, um, and and Tesla thought that um, he would be able to put all his energy into uh, the ether, okay, and pull it out elsewhere to like drive things like planes and that, okay, and later, okay, in his at the end of his life, he said the greatest mistake he made, as far as electricity is concerned, is thinking that he had to put the energy there or the power there, okay, with this transmitting uh, coil there, because the energy is already there, okay, and that he didn't really need to do that. Now here's Abraham. He says that led me to understand that the Earth has many electrical layers, some above the surface, and there seems to be layers below the surface as well. Well, there are layers, but it's also an imperfect conductor too. Okay, and then he goes. Everyone knows that the ionosphere is an electrical layer. It turns out there's another layer below that happens to correspond in altitude with the ozone layer. Okay, well, the ionosphere is an electrical layer. And in the early 1960s, maybe late 1950s, there was like Project Starfish, and that's where they did their first atmospheric
Heating.
nuclear or atomic test. Okay,
Hmm.
and at that time, the ionosphere literally disappeared. Okay, for 2 hours, and it was reestablished. And I know this because I have some friends whose job it was to monitor the radiation levels. Okay, and they saw the ionosphere disappear. And just it freaked everybody out. Like, oh my God, it's gone. Is it going to come back? Because with the ionosphere, um, we're we don't have the protection from the sun. Okay, and some of the hard radiation. The
Right.
ionosphere is important for a lot of things. So, and
So,
also has so up there
so it
too.
was like a hole in the ionosphere, right?
Hole is short circuited when they set that nuclear blast off. Okay, it short
Hmm.
circuited the ionosphere with the ground. Okay, it's
Oh, I see.
like you take and you short the uh, electric plug out or a circuit out. It shorts out. Knocks it
Mhm.
out. Um, it's a very scary thing, when we mess with our ionosphere and atmosphere. That's a comfort. Okay,
Yeah.
it's so terrifying. Okay, and then he goes beyond the ionosphere. The layer changes the forming of more rings, which is Van Allen belts, which are rings of radiation that surround the Earth. And when we send stuff into space, we have to protect the stuff from radiation, in particular the Van Allen belts, or avoid them. You know, um, yeah. So
Well, it seems like Abraham knows a lot about these things.
he studied quite hard.
Yes.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. All these layers. I've heard about ionospheric heating. This is the HAARP
high frequency active
project.
auroral research program. It was in Alaska and everything, but that's been turned over to the state of Alaska, the university up there, the University of Alaska, whatever, and they run that facility now. But there's been uh, well, in the book, uh, "Angels Don't Play This Harp" by Nick Begich, it had in there uh, like when the frequencies they got so much energy back, you know, that it blew up the circuitry there. It's blowing up, and transformers, resistors, inductors, and everything. Because when you have stuff designed for, let's say, amps, and then you get mega amps out of it, you're gonna have things blow up on you. You know, that's the
Mm,
thing about electrical engineer design, is that you design your equipment for what you expect, and that's with all measuring equipment. When you build equipment to take measurements, you design it for what you expect to find. And there's no telling what you'll find sometimes. And when you run into
right.
something bigger, uh, well, sometimes your equipment can't handle it. You know, and I've ran into this like when we built this out brainer device. We were trying to measure the output because this thing would charge a battery in like 2 hours from like 9 volts to just over 14 volts in like 2 hours. And
Wow.
according to an inductive type of amp meter, right? It was coming out uh, like 10 amps or whatever, right? Or 30 amps, or 30 amps with a 3 amp input, okay? And 12 volts across the system, okay? Well, we wanted to see if that was really uh, 30 amps. So we put uh, an ammeter like you get in a car, where it's direct current type thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It literally blew up in my hand.
Wow.
So you have to know exactly what a good approximation of what you're looking for to design your equipment. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. Yeah. You cannot put 3 ammeter into 30 amps. It'll burn the coil. Yeah.
But getting back to our original topic, AI, uh, I think we should all fight AI in every type of form we can. I know, like a lot of times, if I pick up a phone, I hear that click, um, I just hang up. You know, if someone don't answer me in a few seconds, I hang up because that's how it's an a form of AI. Something's ringing, calling you up, seeing if you're there, and I'm not going to give them the satisfaction of I'm not going to talk to a computer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and usually it's a salesperson or someone trying to collect a bill, real or imagined. Anyway, okay, here you go. The thing about plasma is that they are excellent conductors of sound. It's because the particles don't need to physically touch to transfer the motion. Perhaps it could show up in seismic data, possibly.
So the plasma is a good conductor of sound. I didn't know that.
That's
Yeah.
sound is just another form of frequency. You know,
Yeah. Well, it's ionized air, right? The plasma.
it's plasma is an ionized form of gas. Okay,
Yeah.
and and
The gas conducts sound, right?
well, gas conducts frequencies. Period.
Yeah.
We built. If you can get these big, thick glass jars, they hold like about 5 gallon jugs. Okay, and what we did is we would take one of those jugs, right, and we would put um, would have a would have a copper tube with a fitting on it, where we're going to attach like a thing of gas, and the other one would pull out air. We would attach to what do you call that? A pump, an air pump, and we would take and we would pull a vacuum in that jug, okay, and then once you got a pretty good vacuum, you can open up the gas thing and allow gas to flow into it, whether it be like freon or nitrogen or whatever. You can put gas into it, and you can just put a little bit in, and then you take that and you close everything off, seal it off, and you take and you hook a Tesla coil to it, right? And then what would happen is it would form a plasma. It'd be electrified, and you could put your hand on that jug, and then you move your hand, and the plasma, you have a plasma stream following your hand. Okay, it's pretty cool stuff, and that's what we used to do at the museum. And there you go. Let's see. Plasma can take in many geometries. Also takes forms of energy field in a certain geometry. Our body produces a plasma field, and plasma is the four states: solid, liquid, gas, plasma, and forming. That's 5 states. But anyway, the thing with plasma, okay, or the energy, it always had a vortexian flow to it. Okay, it forms a vortex when it's moving from like the lead, at the top to your hand. It would always form a vortex, and that's because energy always moves in a vortex. And that's to come when you see all these inventions, like everything from Schoberger on down, even like in the water, where it's putting energy in the water. It's the energy flowing in a vortex. So
Right, right.
So,
Well, it's been an interesting discussion, very interesting discussion.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
AI and other stuff, right?
But like I say, this is the kind of stuff now when people come to the conference, you see a lot of this stuff. I'll tell
Yep.
you an interesting experiment you can do if you have an old TV set laying around. Uh, I
I
wouldn't use your new one, but the old ones, we have the tube and everything, right?
right.
You put a magnet in front of it, and it forms a great field there. You see the, uh, the magnetic field, start flowing along lines of force there. The magnetic lines of force. It's very impressive stuff you can do.
Okay.
But I wouldn't do it on equipment like the TV that you watch at home. And that you gotta get stuff you don't mind blowing up or whatever for this kind of stuff.
Yeah. You got a lot of experience in these things, Steve. We will learn a lot from you in the conference.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm
Looking
hoping this
forward.
year to get my back to writing my program. I just need to get I need some help, you know. But the most
I,
important people can do is come to
I,
the conference, bring people to the conference. Uh, don't
well,
forget teas are free.
yeah.
If you
I,
have
I,
young
mean, I saw it in your newsletter. I already have the program, the conference program in your newsletter that you sent out, that booklet.
I do I do a new one. I just got this one done about 2 weeks ago,
Oh, okay. All right.
and I just put it up online there on the front page
Website.
there.
Okay.
And even though we have Karen's guide there, that guide's 100 pages long, and you tend to get lost when you get that many pages. But
Yeah.
mine's 16 pages, very easy to follow, and I can
Yep.
print that, and I print it and we mail it out because there's a lot of us out there who aren't on the internet, don't want to be on the internet, and even people tell, well, people's computers don't have DVDs anymore. A lot of them don't. Well, a lot of the people I know don't have the computer in the first place, and they use DVD players. So I'll be doing DVDs after this, and then I'm still putting up 2023. I'm trying to get those up there the next 2 weeks here, and
Okay. All right. Very good.
with that, I think I'm just gonna call it a night and get back to
Yep.
work.
Yep. Yep.
And
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I hope to
Great
see all these
discussion.
people come to the conference. And I'll be looking forward to seeing you there, Sri. Okay,
Yes.
I'll be
Me
at the
too. Yes.
bookstore most of the time.
Okay. I'll find
Right
you.
next to electrical hall. We'll
Yeah.
have a cup of coffee at breakfast. If you're staying at the hotel, breakfast is on me.
Actually, it is because you negotiated the rate, right? That's why.
Yeah, it was good, And
Yeah.
I
It's
don't
good.
know if anyone has any problems with the hotel. Let me know. I could deal with it. They're very they're very flexible and they're very amenable, and they want to have us to have a good experience. Yeah, and
Yeah.
so
I already booked it. I'm all booked.
okay. Well, with that, I'm going to go ahead and remind everyone sign up for the our YouTube channel here. Uh, Mark, if you get any emails, okay, be sure to get us that exclusive membership. $9.99 is a bargain. Thousands of videos there, so members only videos, and that helps us survive. And then the conference coming up August 7th and 11th. And thank you for being on, Sri, and thank everyone for
Thank you.
participating. And one more comment here before we leave. There are different types of plasmas. Some are neutral overall, some are non-neutral, like the negatively charged ions. Okay. Amilcar Gonzalez, thank you for the great show, guys, and thank you for being on. And see you all next week.